Hi, Pooja.
Hi, welcome to the show. We have Mukul with us, who's the founder and CEO at Spring House Co-working. Lovely place for sure. I think I've visited two already. So Mukul, we'll let you tell us a little about when did you get started on this and how did this idea stem?
So a brief background about myself. So I used to work with Ernst & Young EY. Started my, career there in 2010. Worked there for about 4 years. While I was working with EY, got the opportunity to go to ISB, Indian School of Business, which was sponsored by EY for some of the analysts in the country. Of course, after that, I was, a little, I was always sure that that's not the only thing I want to be doing. I always want to start something of my own. And I think the best thing to do at that point in time was to meet more like-minded people. So in 2014-15, I did a small pilot with a 5,000 square foot property. Ran that pretty successfully for 1.5 years with very minimal investment. It was more about a, learning curve of how the concept works. And sooner or later, I realized, okay, this is something that, can be a decent business. 2016 is when we actually founded Spring House, September. Started with another space, which was roughly 20,000 square foot and went on. And today we almost at a million square foot. Saw like 2 heavy waves of COVID. Managed to sustain the business to a certain extent.
Right.
Of course, we had to lose out on some, of our centers at that point in time, but that is, I guess, part of it.
That's amazing. That's a great journey. How many startups right now are currently in the Spring House network?
So network, I would say, would be close to 600 companies because they've all been part of it and they've probably moved on. To bigger spaces or have their own office spaces. But currently we are hosting about 250 odd companies across the 18 centers that we run.
And all 18 centers are in Delhi NCR?
Yes.
Okay, very nice. And how big is the Spring House team that's running the show?
So our corporate team is about 32 people. Of course, we can't move an inch without our domestic staff, which consists of your, security guards, office boys, facility managers, IT team. So including all of that, I think we'd be at about 150 more people. So total team of about 180 odd people.
Right. So with a very sort of offline-centric business, we can call it, right? What would be that main 1 or 2 challenge that as an entrepreneur, we need to battle most?
So see, in our business, the thing is very operational heavy, as you can see, right? You have to put in a certain amount of capex to get the center ready. Then you have to make sure that all the teams are working in, constant touch parallelly to deliver a good experience to our members that are coming. So I think the idea is good implementation, good execution, good management.
Right.
And that is what we aspire to do on a daily basis. Now, of course, there are mistakes that are done every day. I mean, even while coming here, I was thinking about, 2 things that have gone wrong today morning. But that's all part and parcel
of the show.
Show and overall growing as a brand.
Right. And in terms of engagement or any other activity, how is Spring House different from the other co-workings that are functioning, right?
I mean, see, I don't think we've aced that aspect yet. But again, we are putting in a lot of effort to build that right team to keep our members engaged. One thing that we've been doing consistently is a cricket tournament that we arrange for our members. And every year we see that, okay, the intensity of it is going higher and higher. People want to participate. And it's a proper leather ball cricket tournament.
Right.
And usually, when we say cricket tournament, people are like, is it a tennis ball? Is it a box cricket? Like, no, you get to a proper stadium. There is, floodlights. It's an experience.
Wow.
So that is something that we're building on. Plus, we've got a couple of other IPs that keep coming up. But consistently want to keep driving more events so that, people feel that they're getting more than just furniture at the works.
Sure. And as a business, are we profitable already or are we raising funds for expansion?
So see, at a unit economics, center level profitability, we get to a break-even point in a certain amount of time. Because you can't be profitable on day one because there's a decent amount of capex that is involved. At a corporate level, this year, thankfully, we did touch our profitability mark.
Wow.
As a company. But it's taken us good 7 to 8 years to get there. So it is definitely a very hands-on and a very, very tough business.
Right.
And with the constant growth that is always there, I don't think profitability is the right measure to look at. It's more about the EBITDA that you achieve. Because there's a lot of depreciation that you get. I mean, touch wood, that is all positive so far.
Sure. So 8 years, and I'm sure a very roller coaster ride so far, right? how do you think, Mukul, the next 8 years are going to look like? And what different, if from an experience point of view for you, what different will you be doing? Of course, it will not be those initial hiccups that you go through in a first center, second center. The story will be very different for the next 8 years. So how do you think that will be different from the last 8?
So a very interesting question. I think every 3 years you evolve as a company. I mean, we've seen two evolution within our company. It's been about 6-7 years. So you have to be realistic and keep on moving ahead with the time. So I do see that if we do this right, I think a good speed to do would be about one property a quarter consistently, and that is not very aggressive. It is not aggressive if you do it well. And one property could be, let's say, about 50,000 to 60,000 square foot, because the sizes of the project would increase. But again, now the things have to move parallelly. All the departments have to be in sync. And that is the challenge as a business owner, especially for such a model, because you also have to make sure that whatever you're building in future, your past centers will get affected.
Absolutely.
The discipline in terms of the finance has to be so strong that each center is like a unit economics, profitability is built.
Right. And from a geography standpoint, do we intend to stay within Delhi NCR, or do you have other thoughts?
No, we do have other thoughts. Again, see, it's all about how well you can collaborate with various people around the country. I don't think one person or one company can achieve great heights. It's such a hands-on business. So if we do get a good strategic partner who has real estate across India or some parts of the city, we'd be more than happy to partner with them to take forward the brand.
Sure. And what kind of revenues are we clocking right now?
So we've closed upwards of 50 crores this financial year, which was 23-24.
Right.
And 24-25, we have certain targets that we've set internally.
Right.
And we'll be gunning for that.
Right, sure. So, Mukul, this was a bootstrap business when it started, and you had your own share of pre-Spring House pilots also that you ran. So, I'm going to ask you some have you ever questions. Okay, like have you ever done something like that? And you can feel free to tell us the truth. Okay, so have you ever taken a message in your initial days saying that the team will do it, but you had to do the work?
So the team, I mean, that happens quite a lot
with the founders.
Yes.
Okay. Pretended on the call to be a team member and not a founder because it was a menial task and you wanted to show that you have a team.
No, never done.
Never. So you always had someone to...
Plus if I've called someone, I always introduce myself, no matter what the job is. Even if it's some complaint coming in, I've called up, I've said, the person who started this brand, can I help you with something? So I've never masked myself behind someone else's idea.
Excellent. Have you ever word by word written an email for a team member to send?
Sorry, say that again.
Have you ever word by word written an email for a team member to send?
Yeah, multiple times. I mean, now thankfully that
ChatGPT is saving us.
Mention a couple of lines and an entire text comes in.
Sure.
Earlier, 2016-17, multiple times.
Multiple times. Okay. Have you ever had to liquidate an FD for a team offsite?
No, not yet.
No bad financial decisions. Okay. Have you ever had to take up any secondary work or secondary sort of sidey work in the company to meet the expenses in the short term?
Yeah. We like 4-5 core team members. We've run multiple hats. That's how you run it frugal.
Right.
And I think it's a good aspect of running a business because you just get to feel value more.
Right. Sure. So that was on the rapid fire bit. Just a little about the team related stuff. Now we have all these businesses, a lot of them that we meet are in that zone of 30 to 40 people.
Right.
And it's quite a challenge when you're small also. It has its own issues. So right now in your 30-35 member team, what is the department-wide split of people?
So I think I would start with the most important department, which is finance accounting. So we have about 4 people there, including the the leadership team, which is 1 person, the CFO as you call it. So we have 3 people under her. Then we have an ops team, which is very difficult part of the business to ensure that everything's running smoothly. There are about 6 core team members who are running all the centers. Then we have a facility manager. Now again, good part is that in Gurgaon, we have multiple centers within the same pin code. So we've kind of distributed 3 centers to 1 facility manager. They keep roaming around. So we've kept it 2. So ops is there. Then again, design and build is another thing. because everything that you see around has to, done on and out first.
Thought by someone.
Yes. And then, of course, it goes on to the contractor. They do the job for us. So that is about 3 people again.
Right.
Sales team is also 3 to 4 people. So we've kept it, as I said, super lean. So 32 total team members. Community managers, the heart and soul of the business, because they are the ambassadors. They are the, we call them captain of the ship. Every center is a ship for us. So, every center you would see there is a community manager. For example, you must have met Akash.
Akash, yeah.
Then we've got an IT support at most of the centers. Again, total 4 team members. They're handling, 6 team members. They're handling all the centers.
Okay.
We distributed our roster.
Very nice. I think एक funded companies में एक metric होता है where revenue per employee. I think that's like superbly awesome for Spring House right now.
I mean, I'd like to believe so. I mean, again,
we sign of good entrepreneurs.
We put in a lot of thought. And I'm not saying we have all efficiencies in place. I mean, I don't think you should as a person, because then what do you aspire to do?
Yeah.
But we, as I said, try to learn from our mistakes. We try to observe a lot of what competition is doing. Not because we want to beat them. That's never the intent, but just to learn from them. Okay. What are the right things that they do?
Sure. So as an entrepreneur, we're going to dig into your mind to see what kind of entrepreneur you are. Okay. So, for the founders who might be listening, if you were to suggest, or if you were to do bootstrap for 10 years versus raise funds in the first 6 months,
I would say, can I change that a little?
Yeah.
Bootstrap for at least 3 years, then raise funds, because those 3 years will teach you quite a lot.
Yeah, sure. If you have money in the bank to pay only any one of these, who would you prioritize? 1, a vendor whose payment is due for over 2 months, an investor whose payment is due in that month, a customer who has won some cash reward. A vendor, an investor, a customer.
So what is it with the customer?
Customer has won some cash reward.
Like a kind of
incentive.
No, I would say vendor.
Because they are also running a business. And
they're running a business, and plus, I mean, so again, you try to keep your vendor payments up to 45 days. There's a MSME Act as well.
Yeah,
and over 45 days, you shouldn't go on a payment. But of course, if there is an issue and cash flow keeps, there's crunches always. If you write an email, if they're agreeing to it, and they say, okay, just pay me like 15 days later, then I would go with the customer.
Understood. For your leadership team, if and whenever you have to make a bigger one also, would you go for IIT-IIM grads or would you go for tier 2 city youth?
So honestly, I wouldn't benchmark it with that respect. It's more about the fire that the person has. It could be an IIT-IIM grad, it could be tier 2 city person. So it's more about the vision need to align and the basics need to be in place. There's no rocket science in what we're doing.
Right.
It's very, very simple. But again, you have to make sure that everything's moving in the right direction at the same time.
Yeah, sure. If you were to hire your first hire in the company, would it be in sales or ops?
Ops. I would do the sales.
Oh, okay. Remote teams versus in-office team. I think in your case, definitely it's an in-office team, right? One thing that you learned about entrepreneurship after starting up that you were not expecting or you had any idea about, like you learned it the hard way.
So it's a really tough one. So I mean, when you are, making business plans on an Excel, you always look at a very rosy picture. It's all green. But when you actually hit the ground, things are not like that. There are so many roadblocks that keep coming. So you can't expect 2 particular months to be at the same consistent level. You have to be ready to keep adapting to the changes that are happening.
Yeah.
And it's more than what you think. Right? You might think, okay, you're doing a ARR of a certain amount of revenue, and it's going to be consistent that.
Yeah.
But things keep changing. So be adaptable.
Great. One last thought that you might want to share with the entrepreneurs who are listening, and all entrepreneurs go through those struggle times, those ups and downs, and the downs feel like there are a lot of times when people think of closing it down also, but you were able to sustain. You did it for 8 years and a very successful business. So any last thoughts that you want to tell people so that they can hold on to wherever they are?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, it's very, very normal to feel like that. If you think you're the only one in that boat, no, you're not. Even if you talk to the best of founders, I mean, these days, thankfully, Shark Tank is such a great platform for us to see how entrepreneurship is taking such a great shape in our country. And even if you speak with the sharks, and we are lucky enough to host one of our sharks in one of our centers, they also have very, very difficult times. But you have to stick to you have to keep getting back to the reason why you started. You have to keep believing in it, And again, keep your team super close to yourself.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much. Lovely talking to you.